My name is Karen Hoffman, and it is my honor and pleasure to welcome all of you to the 19th Annual World Tourism Awards. We greatly appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedules to show recognition to our distinguished honorees. And now I want to introduce a man who needs no introduction, of course, Peter Greenberg, Emmy Award-winning journalist, CBS Travel News editor, our host.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. And I want to welcome you. I know this sounds hard to believe. It's the 19th Annual World Tourism Awards. And for those of you who've been around that long, you don't need me to tell you this, but most of you haven't, so I'm going to tell you what it is. It was established back in 1997 to recognize individuals, companies, organizations, destinations, and attractions for outstanding initiatives related to the travel and tourism industry and in fostering sustainable tourism and developing programs that give back to local communities. And I think that's an important consideration, especially in the year 2016. Words like sustainable tourism that get often misused, misapplied, and misunderstood. Now I'd like to introduce some of our founding sponsors. Reed Travel Exhibitions and the New York Times, joined by Corinthia Hotels and United Airlines. They're represented on the stage here, and many of them will have something to say. I also want to mention what these awards are because they come from Malta, from an amazing company, all handcrafted, Mdina in Malta. Beautiful glass. The good news is they've won them. The bad news is they got to carry them home, but they will. We have a number of delegations here from a number of different countries, and I'd like to welcome them as well. Your Excellencies, thank you for coming. And first, let me introduce one of our sponsors, the Senior Exhibitions Director for Reed Travel Exhibitions, Charlie Cracknell.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's great for us to be here. WTM, if you've seen this week, it's a stunning example of how well the travel community and tourism community gets together, and it's connecting and recognising excellence, which is why we're standing here today. As co-founders, we're extremely proud that 19 years on, we're able to continue sharing this opportunity with you and with the market, and more so with our co-sponsors, Corinthia Hotels, New York Times, and United Airlines, as Peter has already said. Sometimes it's often forgotten the amount of effort that individuals and people put into the awards, or should I say the expertise they put into the industry, which is the reason that these awards exist. Some of it comes from the heart, some of it comes from the mind, but a lot of it is all about passion to change and influence and affect how people live, how they travel. But more so, as Peter has rightly said, it's about giving back. The large success of these awards has been down to the fact that we've had a high calibre of entrants and that we're able to recognise that on an ongoing basis. So from our perspective, we are proud to work with these partners for now, and we continue to look forward to working with them in the future. Thanks very much.
And now I'd like to introduce one of the longtime sponsors. Last year she lost her voice, but it's back. Fiona Harris from Corinthia Hotels.
Well, welcome everybody. I have got my voice back this year, and I want to make one very sort of clear point this year, and in honour of our honorees. It all starts with us, really, doesn't it, in terms of responsibility and travel. We've got representatives here with our honorees of the environmental economy and sustainability, and also the education economy and looking after the better education of future generations. And it is all down to us as individuals to do our bit as an individual and as a collective to improve the planet and opportunities for people. And I know Corinthia do that in small ways and big ways, and this is one of the slightly larger ways we can help. And just next week, we're about to launch at our London flagship hotel a neuroscientist in residence for 1 year, because we rather like the way that the worlds of biology and business are coming together with a better understanding of how we work, how we function, how the planet works. And we want to really capture the knowledge that science gives us, especially neuroscience, to help better understand business, the decisions we make, and the responsible decisions we make, both at occasions like this and with supporting causes like the World Tourism Awards. So next week you'll hear more from us as well about further initiatives in this space. But today it's all about the 3 honorees. So thank you.
I'd also like to acknowledge the person who introduced me, Karen Hoffman from the Bradford Group, because without Karen, none of this could have happened. She organizes this every year. She puts in amazing number of hours to do it. So Karen, thank you so much. And you too, Bianca. Our next sponsor has been so generous with his time and with his budget. Yes, it's true. Bob Schumacher, who is the managing director for the UK, for United Airlines, and I should also tell you when our award ceremony is over, United Airlines is also generously hosting the reception in the back of the room. Please welcome from United Airlines, Bob Schumacher.
Peter, thank you. Always happy to pick up your bar bill. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this great event. United Airlines is pleased to be taking part in the World Tourism Awards ceremony for the 3rd year running now. I know that a huge effort, and we just had recognised the huge effort that has gone in to make this event so special today. Like the World Tourism Awards, United is committed to achieving and recognising excellence. So it is the case for all organisations sponsoring today's event. At United, we have some remarkable points of our own, which I'd like to share with you too. We serve 29 cities from 15 countries and over 500 weekly flights we serve across the Atlantic. On the 1st of December this year, United will begin to introduce our all-new United Polaris Business Class, a cabin reimagined departure to landing experience for the intercontinental traveller. On sustainability, we've made our own notable progress. We are very proud of our track record of improving aircraft fuel efficiency by some 35% since 1994 through significant fuel efficiency initiatives, but we recognise that there's always more work to be done. In 2015, we reduced CO2 emissions by more than 285,000 metric tonnes. We reduced fuel consumption by nearly 30 million gallons through equal to removing about 60,000 cars from our roads. If only we could do that too. And increased orders for new Boeing and Airbus aircraft, which are 15 to 20% more fuel efficient than those that they are replacing. United now has orders for more than 250 of these new fuel-efficient aircraft. I'd like to close by saying we recognise the importance of global travel and understand the key role that we have to play as a global carrier in meeting the ever-changing needs of our customers around the world, as well as growing our business responsibly. We appreciate the great work that is undertaken by the World Tourism Awards and respect the tremendous achievements of the honorees represented here today. With this, I now hand you back to Peter. Thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce another one of our founding sponsors, the Managing Director for the United Kingdom for the New York Times, Patrick Falconer.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As Peter said, a founding sponsor, so we were there 19 years ago. And it is a great honour for us to be associated with these awards. There's been a hell of a lot of change in those 19 years, and I think in all of our businesses, we've all been sort of affected by this huge sea change in our businesses brought on by digital. Incredibly, the New York Times now reaches more than 120 million people every month with our digital platforms. And we now have around about 2.6 million people actually paying to consume our content digitally. And I think if you went back 19 years or even 15 years, when I think every media owner gave everything away digitally, that's no mean feat. And it actually means that we as an organisation, we make more money from people paying to access our content than we do from advertising now. So you can see it's a business of huge change. But I guess one thing that hasn't changed is the fact that we are there to entertain, we are there to educate, and we try to do that in very engaging ways. I would urge you all to download an app called NYTVR. It's our virtual reality app, and I think that allows our newsroom to actually tell stories as they really are, and it really sort of it enables you, I think, to actually travel with the New York Times, and you can do it with your phone as well. You don't have to have Google goggles. And the reason why we're using it on our phone, because more than 70% of our content is consumed only on the mobile phone. So, you know, really, who would have thought this little thing would be so important now? So very many congratulations to this year's honorees, who all do great work in fostering sustainable tourism and developing programs that give back to communities. I very much look forward to being here for the 20th anniversary celebrations next year. Thank you very much.
Patrick, I have a news bulletin for you. I still read the New York Times by holding it in my hand. I insist that you all try it sometime before it all goes away. Content is king, and I thank you again, Patrick, for being one of the founding sponsors. Now it's time to honor our very special people here today. And, you know, anytime you're looking at the word sustainable tourism and you're trying to figure out what really makes a difference, what can not only affect change but maintain it, it all gets down in many cases to infrastructure. And our first honoree knows all about that. It's DER Touristic. And let me tell you why they're getting this award. Because they have something called the Give Education a Home program, which for the last 2 years, since 2014, has funded, through their foundation, the construction and expansion of more than 20 schools in 15 countries around the world. And what that does is it provides children and young people with a better education and a future, but it also allows them to actually realize that future. Patrick, could you please come up as our sponsor? Yes, Patrick, that's you and all of our other sponsors as we present this award to Soren Hartman, the CEO of DER Touristic Group. Where is Soren? Come on up. And while we're doing this, I'd also like you, if we could dim the lights a little bit, to please watch the video.
We're sending 6 million of our guests all across the globe. They encounter hospitality and a wonderful vicinity as they gather impressions and memories.
Irgendwann saßen wir zusammen und haben überlegt, wie
we were sitting together pondering how we could pool the enormous power which is there in our sales department with our customers, our top performers, hotels, airlines, companies, and focus it on something sustainable, something good.
können. Und selbstverständlich dann dort
And naturally there in those countries in which we get to send our guests, the world's holiday countries. And so the topic of school projects came up.
We, from Dare Touristic, are giving something back. We're working on a big idea. The construction of schools in countries in which an education is not a given.
Meine persönlichen Eindrücke in Kenia waren zweierlei Hinsicht. Die erste Sache war, dass
My two different personal impressions in Kenya were those. The first one was that we saw the necessity for our aid there. The educational premises are grossly inadequate. The second, and this one's a beauty, is that we saw that our money was arriving par for par. we've seen that money can do something incredibly wonderful. The children were given an actual working school built out of a ruin. There are great teachers there. We could witness children being happy, and so we accomplished what we set out to do. The children get an education which they enjoy.
Die Kinder haben Bildung und haben Spaß dran.
The idea comes to life. The first schools have already been built, like this one in Kenya. Dare to help, support, dare, committed to the world. Every hero arrives here in Kenya and in the other project territories.
Yeah, thank you very much. You've seen the differences in the schools. Well, the first pictures, they were from the school before. And the picture then were, let's say, after we built up the school. And if you're down, let's say, to open a school, you really have a very emotional moment because you suddenly feel really you did something well. So thank you very much for this award. We are really happy that Dare Touristic and our foundation, and also from Kuoni UK side, that we have been selected for this honor. The World Tourism Award means much for us. We really want to return something back to our destinations. And this idea has gained a very large number of supporters. As you've seen, hoteliers, our salespeople, everybody is really behind this project, in the group, outside of the group, our partners. Our idea is just simple, as it is important. Education creates an understanding between other cultures. And education also creates opportunities for young people. It is the gateway for a future career. And we, the travel industry, profit directly from the social infrastructure in holiday destinations. So school construction represents our investment in our shared future. I would like again to express my sincere thanks to all our partners and employees who helped us to make the construction of this school possible. Thank you very much, and I also thank the jury. Thank you.
And thank you, Soren and DER. Our next honoree has an incredible story, and I should tell you that as a journalist, anytime I'm working on a story about the environment, I approach it with a certain degree of cynicism. I always want to follow the money. Where does it go? How is it impacting local communities? And our next honoree can talk all about that. In recognition for its 25 years of work establishing new protected areas, recovering imperiled species, supporting leading-edge activism and promoting healthy communities in Chile and Argentina through the creation of national parks. The award goes to Tompkins Conservation. Let's watch the video.
Over the last 25 years, Doug and Chris Tompkins have dedicated their lives to saving wild nature by creating national parks, helping re-wild landscapes, investing in ecological agriculture, and supporting grassroots activism. From her early days in the shipping department of Patagonia Incorporated, Chris worked her way up to CEO and eventually retired and traveled to South America, where she and Doug began their conservation efforts.
The idea to start creating national parks, that was really the watershed moment for us. There's a kind of social justice issue about national parks. It doesn't matter who you are, you have access to the masterpieces in your society. That's important to us. If you just buy large tracts of land and you put a lock on the front door, you're missing over half of the impact that you can have by getting people onto these landscapes and helping them identify with the non-human world.
Through their foundations, Chris and Doug have helped establish 5 new national parks and are working to create 6 more. These park-making projects are complemented by an ambitious rewilding program, which reintroduces missing species to ensure vibrant and healthy ecosystems. So far, they have protected over 2 million acres of land in South America, more than any other individuals in history.
I hope that someday, 200 years from now, the parks that we created will be seen as a marker for what's possible and the importance of maintaining beauty as a value. That's what I hope for. Whoever you are and whatever you're good at, you get out of bed every morning and you do something. You act, you step into the fray, and you fight for a human society that is in balance with the natural world.
If I could invite Bob Schumacher up from United Airlines to present the award, the World Tourism Award, to Christine McDivitt-Tompkins.
Thank you. Thank you very much for recognizing the work of our teams in the United States and Chile and Argentina. And I also want to say, when it comes to developing new national parks, we have partnerships with the government of Argentina and the government of Chile, and we have the Minister of Tourism here this afternoon with us, who is a real partner with Tompkins Conservation in a national park that just yesterday we officially turned over to the national government, and they took control of the new Iberá National Park. And a lot of that thanks goes to you and representatives in Chile as well. I think when I heard about this award, I thought about it quite a bit, and one of the things that I think I'm most pleased with is the combination of conservation, strict conservation, and it's on the scientific side, the biological side, has not always been related to tourism. And this is a change we've seen in the last 25 years of our work. We now have almost a little over 10 million acres of national park lands, and we see the benefits of tourism coming in and taking its rightful place along in the local communities of these places, often quite isolated. And this, as conservationists, we call production as a consequence of conservation. And of course, it's incumbent upon all of us that we protect these things in 100 years, 200 years, that these national parks, wherever they may be, are well defended and beloved by the tourism industry and individuals that visit them. So we see tourism as going hand in hand in conservation. And I hope that one of the messages that resonates throughout your conference this week is that where we go to visit goes our responsibility to help protect those places that we think we love so much. And in this spirit, thank you very much for the award. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
And thank you, Christine. Mr. Minister, very nice to see you. Haven't seen you since Buenos Aires. Nice to see you here today. So much of travel, if it's effective travel, has to involve great storytelling. And that's what gives it meaning, it gives it worth, gives it value. The problem is if you have just storytelling without perspective, you can do damage. Our next honoree knows all about storytelling, and he knows all about perspective. It goes to Lindblad Expeditions, and they win for their recognition of its commitment to conservation, research, education, and community development in the geographies they explore, and their establishment of the Lindblad Expeditions National Geographic Fund. Together with their guests, Lindblad has raised more than $12.7 million for critical projects since 1997. Please, let's watch the video.
I just have always believed that tourism and conservation go hand in hand. There are many factors that set us apart as a travel company. The greatest audience in many ways that help support environments such as this are the people who travel there. They're the ones who have developed some sort of passion, some sort of understanding. And so we support programs everywhere in the world that in some way can harness that energy, that enthusiasm, that passion. We need a healthy world. We need cultures that thrive. So we work hard to try and find creative ways in which we can have a positive impact.
The Lindblad Expeditions National Geographic Fund is something that Lindblad Expeditions and National Geographic set up as part of our broader alliance. It gives our guests a chance to donate to support projects in the places that they're visiting. It has 4 main pillars: conservation, research, education, and community development. Our expedition leaders and onboard naturalists are the people who really bring the projects that the fund supports to life for our guests. Guests will come to us and ask what they can do to support the human and natural communities that they visited.
Travelers with Lindblad Expeditions and National Geographic, they trust us, they expect us really to have done the homework and to give them guidance on how to effectively make a difference.
I have seen the changes for our guests. These are the results. These animals are recovering, and we can recover all the other species as well.
I've spent about 4 decades on the ocean now studying marine mammals.
Not only do we collect useful data, but we get to talk to the guests about it as well. I think it works both as an experience for them and as a research opportunity for us.
We want globally competent citizens. And you can't create globally competent citizens if you don't teach them about the world that we live in.
So it's very important to give the communities an opportunity where they can get what they need from their own resources.
Our joint approach to travel is that travel is no longer just about going out and seeing new places. It's really about making a difference, leaving a positive impact, just like we're doing in all the places that we travel.
What am I happiest about, or perhaps proudest about, in terms of what we do as an organization? We change the landscape, and I believe we change it in a very positive way.
In the interest of full disclosure, I should tell you I have traveled with Sven before. He is the consummate storyteller with perspective, just like his father before him. Fiona Harris from Corinthia, could you please stand up and present the World Tourism Award to Sven Lindblad.
Well, thank you, Fiona, Peter. By the way, I love your hotel. We just moved in last night, and it is one of the most delightful hotels I've ever stayed at. Have any of you stayed at the Corinthia? You should. It's a great place. I wish I was here for a week. But in any case, so I was having dinner last night with Chris and my partner Kristen, and we were talking about what we always talk about when we get together, which is the state of the world and what are we going to do about it, and how can we use our energy to sort of foster different forms of thinking. And we're a little stunned always at the idea that the health of natural systems and such is such a low priority in terms of how people conduct their lives and what they care about when they vote for people. I mean, can you imagine if we had Donald Trump as president, what would happen to everything we care about? Sorry if you're for him, but that would be your mistake. But in any case, so we talk about that, and I believe seriously that the natural systems of the world are the real World Bank. If they falter, it will be an unmitigated disaster unlike anything the world has ever seen, and any reasonable scientist will confirm that. But we're in this great industry, the tourism industry, which means we get to take people and expose them to and show them all of these wonders, whether they be natural, historical, cultural, and we can do a lot. And a lot more people these days in the travel industry are doing more and more and more, and it's very, very gratifying to see. I mean, we are arguably the largest industry in the world, so we can absolutely accomplish a lot together. But thanks so much, Peter, and everyone here for this award. I appreciate it. I really, really appreciate the fact that this award even exists, regardless of who gets it. Thanks.
Thank you, Sven. This concludes the awards ceremony. I would love to thank our sponsors, Charlie and Reed Travel, Fiona, and of course, Patrick, and everybody else involved with the World Tourism Awards, Karen as well. And please thank Bob Schumacher because he is picking up your bar bill. The reception now starts. I would like to ask everybody to stay on stage just for one final group photograph, and thank you again for coming.